This old obsolete iMac, which is fully functional, can save me $59 a month. And I'll get into how it's going to save me $59 a month a little bit later. But I have a couple of old computers that work perfectly fine. Here's an old iMac. I don't even remember what year this is from, but it still runs perfectly fine. When Apple decided that this computer would no longer be supported, that means there would be no more updates. And when there are no more updates, things start to slow down, and software updates will no longer work. But with this one, it was a little bit different. Now, I'm going to go off on a tangent here, but what I'd planned on doing with this computer was to give it to my mother, who lives in a different city, and she's always having trouble with her PC, and I don't know how to help her there. So my thought was to give her this and get her into the Apple ecosystem. I could give her old software that I'm no longer using and show her how to use that. I was actually going to get her into, using some of these Adobe products, and that just couldn't happen. And the reason was when they stopped supporting this, it couldn't even be used as a web browser. I can't on this computer, I can no longer go on the internet. And the computer, I can still run Photoshop on it. There's a clue to where we're going with this. But I can still run Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, and all sorts of other programs. Granted, the computer's a little bit slow, but it still functions. These things, then, more often than not, I think could be upgraded by the company, but they want you to buy something new. And that is what is called planned obsolescence. Yes, the computer might be slow, but it would still work. Why doesn't Apple support your Mac? This is a widely known phenomenon. And so I'm not going to really get into the whole planned obsolescence, but obviously the reasons for it is it allows companies to make more money. If they make your fully functional computer useless, you are forced to buy a new computer. Now, this computer here was its replacement. This is a 2009 Mac mid-range. I don't remember exactly what the original, and I say that because I changed it, the original megahertz was. But this is a monster of a computer, and this lasted me 12 years. Now, that was in spite of the planned obsolescence that Apple built into it. But it has been unsupported, I want to say, for about 12 years. It became, you couldn't upgrade it anymore. So then the software stops working. But I found out online that I could upgrade it. I held off as long as I could, and I teach, so I had to use the most up-to-date Adobe products. So I began going online and searching on how to upgrade. Now, here are a couple of videos that I really found useful that helped get me through upgrading. People began to start hacking their old Macs in order to build on them. Okay, and there are a number of YouTubers that I have learned a lot. I've learned a lot from the people where I learned to hack into my non-supported Mac and keep resurrecting the machine. So there is Review Tech TV. This channel taught me so much. This was the one that just held my hand and walked me through how to do these processes, which are kind of scary. They are not for the faint of heart. And then this one, Lee Zavitz, that was very straightforward and helped a lot. But who was unquestionably my favorite was Jessie's Flying. There was one day that I did something and my computer just went completely dead. I went to his YouTube channel, found one of the videos that I used, put a question in. He answered within one sentence, and he saved my Mac. That was to go swap out the old card, put the old graphics card in, and reboot your computer and do some stuff. I don't remember. This was a while ago. But he saved me. And he's still teaching people how to upgrade their unsupported Macs. Now, with this computer, I did a lot of things that I never thought that I would do. It was way out of my comfort zone. Now, when this computer first broke down, it just went dead. And I went to a local Apple repair store, not the official Apple store. It was like a subsidiary type thing. I'm not exactly sure what you call them, but a licensed It was a licensed Mac store, and this guy wanted $200 just to open the computer. So I did some research, and I found what I thought was the problem, and so I called this guy back and I said, how much would it cost you just to, without doing any tests, install this? It was still minimum $200 to look at it. So I thought, what the hey, let's take a chance. I bought a part on eBay for $75. It was the power supply, and I replaced it myself. It was quite scary, but I did it, and it worked. I say so. That was my first hurdle. Then that was a legitimate breakdown. But now I started going into the planned obsolescence. Over the years, I have upgraded my hard drives from the spinning hard drives to the SSDs would help increase the performance. I mean, obviously the operating system, I kept upgrading that, and the computer could handle it. I had to replace the graphics cards a few times. That's the reason that I actually stopped upgrading, is replacing the graphics cards, is that started getting very expensive. But I changed so many things. I even the electronic chip that is glued into the computer. I never thought I'd do anything like that, but I found a used chip on eBay, and I upgraded when you go to buy it, it tells you how many gigahertz it is, and you can pick level 1, 2, 3, 4, and I maxed this thing out. And again, it was from the online support and with no support from Apple. So the whole point of this video, I'm rambling here, talking about all this stuff. But if you want to know some of the stuff that I did, check out some of the video links. See them down below. You'll see that you'll be able to find those links. But the reason for this video is I've been thinking, all right, when I retire, I can't afford Apple products. It costs like, $59 a month. That's, and by the time I retire, it's going to be even more. Yeah, and there was a video that I found where it talked about old school musicians and how they'll use Logic Pro, and they just have this old computer that they just keep using that same software. They never upgrade it, and they know that software backwards and forwards, inside and out, and they have their system down. So they go straight to being creative because the technical aspects of it are totally they know it all. It's totally integrated within their their muscle memory. And that's one thing that I do sometimes find frustrating with the way these days everything is constantly upgraded. Anyway, I'm still going off on a tangent. Now, this is what I'm talking about. This is Adobe. This is an education version, but this is Adobe Creative Suite. If I can open this up. I don't even know how to open. There we go. All right. There we go. So I open that box up here, and there it is on a disk. So if you have an old computer at home, I can't find a disk. Where is the disk? All right. It's been a while. Oh, there we go. All right. Disks. The Adobe Creative Suite Master Collection. The Master Collection. All right. So if you can find these sometimes, I believe, on eBay. I haven't looked. If I see anything, I'm going to do a little search, and I'll maybe flash it on the screen. But I've had this. Again, this has been collecting dust for years. And I think that's my solution. My solution to retirement is crank up the old computer and then install this. And I don't have to pay Adobe anymore because I own this. I paid for this. And I can do what I need to do. And if there's something else that I need to do or it's a situation where I have to buy it, maybe I can just go do the $89 a month that is not an annual subscription, and I can get by. So my obsolete Apple computer can help me from paying for a monthly subscription to Adobe. One thing I don't recommend this computer to everyone. And the reason is, if you have one, by all means use it. But if you go on the internet and you see one, be careful, because you may go on, if you've never used one, if you're really young and this stuff is all new to you, all the connections are different. So you'll be buying, HDMI, not HDMI cables, HDV cables, and I can't remember all the things, but there's a million different cables and they constantly change them. So that $200 for that computer may get very expensive very quickly. But if you have it, and you have, or if you have an old iMac, or if you can get your hands on and you can get your hands on one of these discs, I highly recommend, especially if you've bought it. And if you have one, give it a shot. You can use the software in perpetuity, until the computer legitimately breaks down. It is yours to use. And this is why I don't have to give Adobe, a $242 billion company, my money. Anyway, that's it for now. And I guess it's time to close this video out. And boop.